All right, so I wanted to quickly demonstrate a tool that I built. For years, jazz musicians have had a digital versions of these real books that contain songs. So, you'll look up a song and there's the sheet music for it. There has long been a PDF index that has song alphabetical order and then book alphabetical order. So if I go to Airgen, you can see it's alphabetically ordered, and then you can go through the books and see the page number that it's on. What I did is I gathered all the books, including some not just concert key, but B flat and E flat, and then I made a Excel and Google Sheets workbook that has all a lot of instructions in it, so you understand how it works and what's in it. And one thing that I did is I created a distinct list of all the tunes, and then I added some categories or some additional columns. So rather than just having the book, song, and page, what you have here is one. I like to memorize. I like to pick like 15 to 20 tunes a month that I'm going to work on. So I created a column, and the numbers are kind of arbitrary, but like for month one, these are the tunes I'm going to work on. For month two, these are the tunes I'm going to work on. You can also see all the tunes by whether they are less common or more common. So like, do I hear them on recordings or not a lot? And then within that, you have favorites, which is just my own personal favorites that I really enjoy. You have not jam tunes. So they're common. You hear them on recordings a lot, but they aren't called on jams a lot. And then you can filter down to just jam tunes. So like if you want to focus on studying jam tunes, or if you want to be able to tell a student, hey, what tunes do you need to concern yourself with to be ready for jams? Here's the list. I also created a vocal tunes column, so you can see within that, like these are commonly ones that singers might call, or that have the option for singing. Some tunes are only instrumental, or maybe they did have vocals back in the day, but we don't sing them very often anymore. Well, this is your vocal list. There's also a style, so if you're like, hey, I'd really like to add a ballad to my set list this week, or I would really like to learn another bossa nova. Well, boom, here you have the ability to do it. I'm gonna add. I haven't added anything to this column, but eventually I want to like put like, does it have a traditional intro to it? The hard column I just use kind of when I'm practicing to label, like, are things, is this one difficult for me or not as I'm practicing? Key for vocals, I have not filled out yet, but eventually I'm going to put in here like what keys are good for my vocals. And then date practiced is just what it sounds like. It's the last date I most recently practiced that tune. You can see then I have the song name and then the composer. And then I took the what I call the primary composer out of this list, because there's times where like Jobim, for example, if you look at him, if you want to just pick Jobim tunes, sometimes they show the other composer or the lyricist, and like I just kind of want to be able to really quickly see Jobim. And then I also put the decade composed and year composed. So like if you want to focus on jazz from the 70s, boom, here's all the ones in there. I also created a counts list, so you can count by your month practice. So like I can see I have 21 for the first month. Here's the tunes. You can also see like composer counts. So like this is how many tunes Horace Silver has and what they are. You can also see by style. So like, hey, wow, there's a lot of blues in here. Here they all are. You can also see jam tune favorites, not jam tunes as well, and the counts. Um, Memorization month key. Remember, I like to memorize things on a monthly basis, so that just tells me what those numbers mean in case I don't remember. Because sometimes I have things other than months that I just want to have the memory of. Real book index then is the actual index. It's that PDF that you have here. Except now it's digital and sortable and filterable, and it has all these other columns. So one thing I have is just songbook page uh, index, and so that just sorts it by the song name, the book, and the page number. And so like for example, one of the cool things about this is if I filter down to Airgen, like I can just see Airgen and what books it's in, and what page numbers it's on. I can also easily filter by jam tune. So like now we have all the jam tunes in alphabetical order. I can also do, not alphabetical or reverse alphabetical order. So like I can see all the jam tunes and what books they're in and what my options are. I can filter down by style. Again, we can see all the blues. The other thing that's cool is, so like once you've decided what you're going to work on, so like I like to use this column, so this is my first month, right? So now I created a book to use column, and so if I filter on that, it's going to show me only the books that I decided I want to use, because some books are better than others or easier to read, or it's nice just to pick one and not have to have all that visual noise. If I sort on book page index, it's going to sort it now by the book and then the page number. And the advantage of this is, one, it creates an order for your practice session, which is valuable enough on its own. But the other thing too is you don't have to bounce around between different books. If it's alphabetical, well, now it's all over the place in terms of the books. But if you do book page index, well, now I can work through all the ones in the Colorado book, and then all the ones in Real Book 1, and then all the ones in Real Book 2, and then the one in Real Book 3. So I'm not bouncing from book to book, which makes your practice session a lot more efficient. So yeah, that's the index. Thank you for your time.